and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 116. As we get closer to spooky season, has anybody had anything going on in their house or their work or just kind of wherever you are? Are the ghosts and ghouls starting to come out to play? I'm just curious. Also, I want to say happy birthday to you September 18th babies. We're going to learn a little about you from the birthday book, so here we go.
Happy birthday.
Those born on this day are private and introspective individuals who, nevertheless, sometimes emerge from their self-imposed solitude to share the fruits of their labors with others. The planets that govern their day of birth exert a particularly powerful influence on their psyches. Mercury endowing them with a strong urge for intellectual exploration and discovery, and Venus blessing them with profound sensuality and an appreciation of beauty. And when these two inclinations achieve their highest level of harmonious interaction, September 18th people will have the potential to initiate truly innovative and inspirational advances that others will admire and that may even influence generations to come. Their natural affinity with all things artistic augurs especially well for their success as writers, musicians, or artists, while their equally strong attraction to the acquisition of technical knowledge suits them for specific pursuits and the digital realm. Although the focus of their professional endeavors fully absorb their attention, their ultimate aims are typically to benefit humanity as a whole. It is this dual propensity to help others advance, while at the same time concentrating upon the concepts that fascinate them, that may cause September 18th people's personal lives to be troubled. Because they exude empathetic concern and are attractive and interesting individuals, others are drawn to them. Yet in many respects, the interest that they show in other individuals assumes a somewhat abstract rather than direct form, and they therefore shy away from having to assume responsibility for the happiness of others, particularly if this would mean having to divert their attention from their intellectual quests. Their virtues are sensitive, artistic, charismatic. Their vices are isolated, opaque, remote. Okay, so happy birthday again, you September 18th babies. If this sounds like you, of course, let me know. And if it sounds like somebody that you know who has a September 18th birthday, let me know as well. And we're going to go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from notneatbby on Reddit.
I don't want to get into the full story because, in truth, I still get uneasy talking about it. That said, about 3 years ago when I was in college, I was working late on a project for class. It was somewhere between 10 and 11 p.m. I stepped outside for a smoke, and the art building wasn't in a well-lit area near some of the woods outside of the campus. I got this terrible feeling that something was wrong, and I looked up and saw a patch of something darker than the shadows that surrounded it, about 20 or so feet away from me. When I saw it, I got this terrible feeling of dread and just knew that it was old. So old. Ancient might be the more appropriate word. The thing that made me really afraid was when I saw it, it somehow saw me. And when it noticed me, I could feel its starvation. It felt ancient, starving, and that I would do for a meal. And then it glitched. And when I say glitched, it didn't phase out. It didn't feel like it was from this earth. Again, it felt ancient. So ancient that it felt like it had always been a part of the woods, a part of the earth. When I say it glitched, it was 20 feet away, and then it was 18, then 16. As it got closer, I could see it was put together wrong. Terribly. It was bone thin. I couldn't see if it had anything to call skin to begin with. It was on 4 limbs that seemed to be all angles, connected to something that I guess would be a spine. When I say it somehow noticed me, it's because as it got closer, I could see there was no head. Not even a neck. Its front limbs connected to the spine and something like collarbones. But there was nothing to suggest anything shoulder up. I was able to get out, obviously. But I still don't know what it was. I've seen posts and stories about similar crawlers, but nothing without a head. I can't stress enough, it's the detail about what it looked like that I remember the most. It didn't have a head. It didn't have a neck. I don't think it ever had anything like a head. Any suggestions as to what this could be? Well, it sure is icky, I can tell you that. I don't like this one. It kind of reminds me of the ghost bone figure thing that is in Poltergeist. There's like this bone creature thing that guards the kid's door in Poltergeist. And that's the thing that pops in my head. However, it has a head. So I don't know. And the fact that this person is saying that they don't feel like it never had a head, it's interesting to me. And the way that it's glitching is disgusting. It's getting closer and glitching. So kind of blinking, really. Ew. I don't know. I've never heard anything like this before. And I did say this year I was going to get more into mythical creature stories. And here's one that I have never heard of before. So if you have any suggestions as to what this could be, because first of all, can you just imagine you're staying late to work on a project for your college class, and then the next thing you know, you go outside to just take a break, and then there's a creature that comes up to you. Oh my gosh, though, think about it. If you weren't afraid of it, I mean, I would probably be afraid, but you could paint that, because I believe this was supposed to be an art class, so you can make some cool painting out of it. Ooh, that would be kind of cool, if they're good at art, of course. But you could be like, hey, this is what I saw in the woods. This is it. I'd actually be pretty curious if this person is actually really good at art. Draw up a picture for me and show me. But anyhow, I'm curious as to what you guys think, and let's go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from an anonymous writer.
To give some background, I live in a relatively new neighborhood, right across the street from a prison. There's been a few recorded deaths there, but from what I've been told, that's just because the prison doesn't want to deal with the paperwork of an inmate dying on the grounds. I've always had a feeling that my house was haunted in some capacity, but there's never been any real consistency aside from something annoyingly peeking from around the corners from time to time, but moves away when you turn towards it. Even then, that's never been a consistent occurrence. So I've always believed that, due to the nature of the prison nearby, I've just been encountering wandering spirits of some kind, attracted to the location, and wandering away when there's nothing of particular interest. There's a little more too. When a friend of mine stayed the night, she apparently got sleep paralysis, something that allegedly never happened before. You can take this with a grain of salt, but she thought to herself, "In the name of the Lord, I rebuke you," and instantly recovered from it. Any thoughts? All right, so I like how this person is like, I'm in a new neighborhood, and well, new doesn't always mean it's not haunted, but it also is next to a prison where who knows how many deaths have actually happened there. So yeah, it could be haunted because of the prison, which makes total sense. It could also be haunted because of the land, because who actually knows who has been around and whose land we're on. But I really do think it's the prison on this one, because if you think about it, they're criminals over there. And I'm not saying, oh my God, all criminals are bad. Because, well, okay, hold on. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say, like, not every criminal who goes to prison has done something like horrendous. I mean, they've done something not good, but it doesn't mean it has to be so horrendous. That being said, maybe those spirits who are there for either the horrendous things or even the things that are not, and they've passed away in prison, are just back on the earth for unfinished business, or are just wandering around. Oh my God, what if it's the people who have done horrendous things and now they're wandering the earth, continuing to try to do said things? I don't think so with this person, only because, like, the haunting isn't horrible, at least as of right now, and I hope it never gets to that. You know, okay, now my brain is just really going. But the part about the friend having sleep paralysis and then just instantly recovering from it after they say, "In the name of the Lord, I rebuke you." Like, I don't know. That to me feels like a negative spirit maybe, but I could be wrong. I find it interesting that this person's friend has sleep paralysis, but this person is only experiencing, like, you know, little things here and there. And hopefully for this person's sake, they don't experience anymore. I really don't. I don't want that for them. I don't know. What do you guys think? This one's really interesting. This person's next to a prison, so what kind of spirits are actually wandering into their home? That's kind of spooky, actually, if you really think about it. But anyhow, if you have a paranormal story, like either story today, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below. Or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to it'sanoddworldafterall.com.